These hit a little too close to home. For those who don't know, I've loved music since I was a child. I play guitar, write, and compose, but I used to dance as well. I've always loved music to the point where I sometimes continue to wonder if I made a mistake majoring in film rather than music. And if there's something I might worry about regarding this channel, is that I may accidentally be boxing myself into being a music channel, which it was never intended to be. I love the creativity, technicality, and craft of filmmaking, yet music's dulcet tones continue to call to me. I want to make more videos about film and anime, but I continue to make music-related content because no matter how much I try to distance myself from it, it resonates within me like nothing really does. When asked what's my favorite movie, my go-to answer is 2011 Succeed, directed by Chayano Bumprakob. It's not one of the greatest movies of all time by any metric, but it's a film that I always go to bat for. Maybe my love for music is what makes Succeed one of my favorite films. And that same bias might be why I resonated so deeply with these two anime. Girls Band Cry and Rock is a Lady's Modesty, I'd say, are about playing music. Not loving music, loving the craft, loving the feeling of making music, connecting with others through music. Music is a weirdly spiritual experience, you know? My mother told me about this performer whose whole shtick was having volunteers from the audience pick up an instrument and just jam. No prior experience needed, just come up and play. I wasn't there, so I don't know how the performer set the thing up, but from what my mother said, he just went up and played. I have some PTSD when it comes to jazz. But that's literally what makes jazz so magical. It's a conversation between people, expressing things that cannot be conveyed through words or body language. And as someone who's autistic, maybe that's the draw of music for me, being able to communicate what I thought and felt non-verbally. And my mother said, as she recounted this experience, I think I finally understand why and how you sometimes spend hours just playing guitar. This is all to say that music, at the risk of sounding like a corny hippie, is an art form that connects people and communicates emotions normal methods of communication cannot. Film is a collaborative method, a voice of a hive collective. Drawing and painting is a slow and methodical process. But music can be instant, instinctual. I know the whole point of this was to talk about anime, and I deviated into a rant about how great music is, but okay, here's the thing. To understand the strengths of shows like Girls Band Cry and Rock is a Lady's Modesty, I think it's imperative to understand the way some people, myself included, obviously, think and feel about music. These shows do not get music. They get people who love music. However, unlike other music or idol anime, both Girls Band Cry and Rock is a Lady's Modesty have a theme that's rarely tackled in these kinds of stories: the cost and pleasures of pursuing your passions. Let's start with an easy one. K-On! Is a slice of life show about a group of girls who enjoy playing music and how it brings them closer together. The original Love Life. A group of girls form an idol group to save their school from closing, and in the process come to appreciate the relationships and communities music allowed to flourish. Beck. A coming-of-age story about a kid who discovers the power of music and through it, learning about who he is as a person. All of these on different levels are great anime, but they all follow what I call the American Dream plotline. If you work hard enough on what you're passionate about, you will succeed. Yes, I know the original Love Life doesn't explicitly fall into that definition, but we all know the real Love Life was the friends we made along the way. The problem with this subgenre is that it feels compelled by the storytelling tropes of their medium to make the characters be once-in-a-generation savants. While the characters in Girls Band Cry and Rock is a Lady's Modesty may fall into this character archetype, the conflict comes from the reality of the situation. Let's start with Girls Band Cry. This show has the same DNA as other band/idol anime such as K-On!, Bang Dream, and Love Life. However, it poses the question of failure. Not only does Girls Band Cry have a character that practically embodies the traditional American Dream plotline and their cynicism towards it, but it also tackles the actual definition of what it means to make it in the music industry. The grass isn't always greener on the other side. Sometimes what lies beyond the rainbow wasn't what was promised. Sometimes, passion and good intentions are simply not enough. It is a harsh, admittedly depressing theme for a show, but it makes the character drama and Nina's journey of discovering her desires and passions so much more compelling. Everybody wants to rule the world, and the show asks us, can you? But I feel the show's answer is, I don't know, but I'll try anyway. Rock is a Lady's Modesty tackles the cost of passion in a different way. Instead of confronting the earnestness of passion through realistic scenarios, here we see the cost of sacrificing your passions for, well, a secured future. You can run away from it. You can hide from it, but you can't escape it. Hell, I think Rock is a Lady's Modesty has tackled the theme of communicating your feelings better than any other band anime. Girls Band Cry still falls into the idea that through passion and hard work, your feelings will carry through. We're all connected through and by our shared goal of making genuine music. However, watching the first episodes of Rock is a Lady's Modesty instead reinforces the interpersonal communication between band members. Our societal circumstances prevent us from pursuing our passions, so we have to pursue them in secret. Totally not LGBT coded. But when we do, something more primal takes over. Something we cannot express through normal channels of communication. A communication that's personal, intimate, and equally real to the expectations we have to uphold for the betterment and benefit of our families and society. I might have joked about the LGBTQ read earlier, but there's a legitimate interpretation where you can read rock music as an allegory or subtext for homosexuality, since the girls have to hide their love of rock to belong in higher society. I actually think the choice of using rock as an allegory for hiding your true self is extremely clever, even if it may seem cliché at first. Not just because of the contrast shock of high society, but also because rock is culturally associated with rebellion. Gigak made a joke about how overly sweaty these girls are when he talked about this show.
Music aside, what could be more fun than a bunch of uppity prep school or jaw summers politely speaking to each other in uppercase before shredding it on the guitar and getting really concerningly wet while doing so as a sign of their totally platonic friendship. No Hoyoverse.
But between that and how the characters derive great pleasure and euphoria from playing rock together, privately, away from proper society, and given what we talked about, I think not only is that an intentional analogy, comparing music to having sex, but it is a metaphor that works both ways. Music presents itself in this show as something inescapable, something that's who you are, no matter how others or even yourself try to deny it. But at the same time, if we flip the metaphor, then we're presented with the imagery of sex to allude to the intimacy and vulnerability that comes with sharing your passions with someone like-minded. Someone who reciprocates what you feel in ways that you can't say, only show. In Girls Band Cry, you may not always get what you want, nor what you wanted may be what you thought it was. Yet it is still something worth fighting for, something worth working towards. In Rock is a Lady's Modesty, we're asked if forgetting these passions, who we are, is even possible. All we have to do is abandon this one thing. Hell, we're even good at it. We still have to work hard at it, not unlike our passions. But it is an almost guaranteed pot of gold that benefits not just you, but your loved ones. It should be obvious. Shouldn't even be a question. And yet, Girls Band Cry was a show that inspired me in ways I don't think anything ever has. In January 2025, I might have been a defeated, depressed wreck if it wasn't for this show. And Girls Band Cry inspired me to the point where I even wrote a song about it. I may be biased, but I think both of these shows are inspiring must-watches alongside Look Back. Look Back, I think, is a masterpiece on its own that speaks to all people who want to work in the creative field. Girls Band Cry and Rock is a Lady's Modesty, while I think it may not resonate as universally with those who are not musicians, there are still universal themes about pursuing your passions and the cost and pleasure of doing so. I have this mantra that goes, metal is a sound, blues is a feeling, and rock is an attitude. Girls Band Cry and Rock is a Lady's Modesty are true rock and roll. Thank you very much for watching. This was supposed to be about Girls Band Cry and Rock is a Lady's Modesty, so I apologize if it felt very tangential. The intent of these info dumpings is to be a discussion, and I felt it was important to bring up my relationship with music to properly convey why I felt these shows resonated with me. So I very much welcome and look forward to your comments and thoughts on both Girls Band Cry and Rock is a Lady's Modesty. Do you agree? Disagree? Something different? Let me know in the comments below. Hope you enjoyed this spiel, and hope to see you in the next one. Later.